Alrighty, so welcome to a new video. Now, before I get started, I just wanted to do a couple quick shout outs here to one of the channels that I found recently on publishing and a video from one of my friends' channels that I think you're going to find interesting as well. So the reason that I do this is because I understand that I definitely don't hold all the information when it comes to publishing, and people like to see other people's perspective on publishing as well. And I know that a lot of us are in completely different positions. We take advice in different ways from different people. So new channel that I come across recently that I really like is Rags to Niches. I'm going to assume it's Rags to Niches, the way that it's meant to be pronounced. But sorry, I don't know your name either, but this person has got 5 videos so far only. But I genuinely believe this person's legit. They know what they're talking about. Every video that I've watched where she's giving advice, I completely agree with everything that she says, which is rare for me to do. And yeah, I think you should check this person out if you're getting bored of all the other YouTubers like myself. Then go ahead, check out Rags to Niches. And the video that I wanted to give a quick shout out to was a video done by Abdollah here. Sorry dude, I can't pronounce your name properly still, but I'm sure you don't mind. But basically he's done a video on his 1-year experience with Amazon KDP. And the reason why I'm suggesting this video is because I understand that we're all in different positions, like especially financially when it comes to trying to earn money online. And I do believe that Abdollah is living in Morocco and he's not actually had much money, I think no money whatsoever, to start his publishing business with, and he's actually been seeing some success over the course of the year, which is actually a really incredible thing to do, especially in 2021. To be able to do this is really fantastic, and he's worked very hard to get to where he is, made some mistakes, but yeah, I think if you're in a similar position to Abdollah here, then you're really going to enjoy this video. You're really going to get like a real perspective on what it's like to publish when maybe you don't have that much money to invest into it. Okay, so this is the video. I'm going to leave a link in the description below, and also just gonna quickly shout out to my own group here. If you want to join my group, it's going to be in the description below. If you want to go ahead and download the free low content book niches that I give away, go to the description, you can download them as well. So go look at the description basically. Okay, so originally what I had in mind for this video was I was going to be doing a video about what I would do if I had to start my KDP business again, and the video is going to revolve around using something like BookBolt in order to create low content books and just build things from there. And the reason why I've taken so long to make this video is because I've had to actually really think what I would really do if I had to start things over, knowing what I know now, and not kind of make an in theory video that might not actually help as many people. And I guess that might be disappointing for you to hear, but with this video, I'm going to actually be able to tell you what I will be doing going forward in 2022 and what I would be doing if I started again, that year being 2022 as well. Okay, so I'm going to kind of do 2 scenarios for each point that I make, where I'm going to be talking about what I'm going to be doing and what I would be doing if I started again. Okay, because I understand that there's going to be some financial differences between the two here. Okay, it's going to make sense when you watch the video. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at what my ideal layout for 2022 is going to be. Okay, so bear in mind, I'm going to do this in a way where we talk about what I would do and what I'm going to be doing as well. Okay, so firstly here, let's just go through this list very quickly. It's going to be avoiding highly competitive low content niches. Next, we have to produce low content books specifically for seasonal events. Then we look at setting a standard for the quality of our books. Then we look at having money to invest. And just a real quick note when it comes to having money to invest, I think I'm going to just give the reality here is that if I had to start again, and if I was starting in 2022 with no money, I honestly don't know if I would start with no money whatsoever. So bear that in mind when going through this video. I would need to have some money to start. I did start my business before with no money and it was an absolute nightmare, and I think doing that in 2022 is going to be even harder, so bear that in mind. Produce higher content books that I spent more money and more time on. I'm going to be using software to save time and give myself confidence in my pursuits. I'm going to be outsourcing most of the work. I'm going to focus on becoming more of a brand. I'm going to accept that there will be failures. I'm going to be running ads. I'm going to be ignoring the typical KDP haters. I'm going to be looking at doing things like audiobooks and adding my books to Ingram Spark. And then I'm also going to be making sure that I keep my publishing account safe from terminations. Okay, so let's go over each of these points and talk about what I would do and what I'm going to be doing for 2022. So regardless of what I would do and what I will be doing, I'm going to be ignoring, and I would be ignoring completely low content and no content books like line journals and basically any other really generic no content book. I do think in order for this to work, you have to have some real good design skill. You need to have something really spectacular going for you that someone else doesn't have. And I know that people are making good money from doing these type of books, and I know that they're making good money from not running ads to these books as well. But for me personally, I just find it way too tedious. And I do believe that people that do have success with these books, I think they have something above your average person. They have some specific knowledge that we just don't hold. And honestly, I think the reality here is that these like low content, these really super low content or no content books, they're still kind of being sold as a really easy way to make money online by people that either don't do them themselves or used to have success with them back in like 2018 and 2019. While I think that the intentions of these people might be good, I think for people that like us that want to do work online and make money online, we've got to be adapting to the ever-changing marketplaces, right? And for me, I've been publishing throughout all of this year, all types of books, and 90% of my success from publishing does not come from these type of books, okay? And I'm looking at this from the perspective that I am an average person. Like I don't have any sort of special knowledge in a certain area that I can create low content books about. I don't have any really good design skills. So there's nothing about me that will say to me that, I should go ahead and I can be an expert in a certain area. Okay. So that's why I'm avoiding these type of books, regardless of what I would do and what I would be doing. Okay. Okay, so that moves me on to the next point of producing low content books specifically for seasonal events. Okay, so what am I going to be doing for 2022? I'm going to be looking at producing around 20 to 30 low content books, very specific towards things like Mother's Day, Father's Day, and most definitely Valentine's Day. That's going to be a very, very big one. It usually is. Make a lot of money if you get the books right for this. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be outsourcing pretty much all that work. And that's obviously going to cost me money. And I'm going to be running ads to every single low content book that I produce throughout this year. But I'm going to be obviously running ads I'm going to make these books as soon as I can. And then when it comes closer to the event in question, then I'm going to start running ads to these books. Okay, so that's what I'm going to be doing. And that revolves around spending money. Okay, so what would I do in terms of low content books if I was starting my KDP business again? Now, the main thing here when it comes to starting things again is I wouldn't be putting as much money into the business. So I'd look at probably creating more of these type of books. Obviously, these would be unique offerings into Amazon's marketplace. But I'd look at creating these using something like Canva. Now, I've spoken about this many times before that if you're going to be doing any kind of low content book, any kind whatsoever, then I strongly believe that you have to have something that stands out ahead of your competition, or just stands out in front of the thousands of other books out there. So what I would do if I was starting again, I'd look at these seasonal niches like Valentine's Day, Christmas, things like that. These pretty easy to find events. And then look at creating simple but unique cover designs inside of Canva. Okay. And when it comes to the interiors for these books, what I was doing before was just using Upwork to get someone to very quickly and very cheaply produce these interiors. That's not going to cost you hardly any money whatsoever. I unfortunately can't give you any advice on how to create interiors because I literally never do these, okay? Because for the time that it takes to produce these simple interiors, you can hire someone for $5 to do like 10 different interiors for these books. So that's pretty much nothing. And if you don't have $5 to put into this, then you need to stop and wait until you have money. Okay, so the next point here that I'm going to be doing in 2022, this wouldn't matter whether I'm doing this or whether I started again, is to set a standard for my book quality for every single book that I upload. Okay, so people brush this off like it doesn't mean anything, and I know this is such a wishy-washy bit of advice that people don't like listening to, but it is so true. It's so important that you have a standard of book quality. Okay, so just to give you a real quick example here, if you were selling things like coloring books, and you have to trust me here, like this is very, very important. I think this is above everything else that I talk about in this video. This is the most important thing, setting that standard of quality for book. And I know it's hard to know what your quality should be, but it's something you really have to understand within the niche that you're publishing in. So like I say, if we're doing something like coloring books for kids, what I do in order to sort of gauge where I need to be sort of looking at in terms of quality is I go onto the front page of the niche that I'm looking in. So I've done coloring books for girls, 8 to 12 or whatever. I take a look at some of the other independently published books. I look at their book covers and I gauge what I'm making against these people's books, okay? So for example, I've just gone ahead and searched for like a unicorn coloring book. If I'm thinking about creating a unicorn coloring book, I want to know what the standard is being set by the bestsellers on Amazon, okay? Because I want to stand out as well. That doesn't mean I have to be better than them, but I got to come somewhat close to their standard, okay? So if we look at this book here, for example, it's doing incredibly well, ranked 21,000 in the bookstore, quite new. It's got a really nice cover. It's really sort of in theme with the audience that it's going for here. When I'm creating something, I look at these type of covers here on the front page and I think to myself, like, I need to do whatever I can to get close as I can to the quality of these book covers, okay? Because your book cover is extremely important, okay? And I think this is one of those things that you come to sort of learn over time as to what the standard is. And you really, really need to recognize when you're creating something that just doesn't look good enough. It doesn't look appealing enough for your target audience, okay? So for like a unicorn coloring book, a parent is coming onto this page to buy this type of book for their child. And they want to see something that's playful, that's colorful, big bold writing, and it's suitable for the niche that you're selling within, okay? And I always used to read this thing when I was starting to sell things online. I always used to read this thing that you need to create this like a avatar of your customer, and I always used to thought that is such terrible wishy-washy advice, and I just completely ignored it, you know, like sort of creating this image of your ideal customer for your niche and for your book, and then selling your book to that person. But it is so true. It's unbelievably true. It's something you must learn to do better, okay? And obviously it's impossible for me to give like a step-by-step bit of information on how you can do that. It's just something that comes with time and a little bit of thought as well. So set that standard, and the same goes for your descriptions, your interiors and things like that as well. Set that standard for every single book that you make. Even if it takes you longer than you'd like to make that type of book, I promise you're going to have more success than if you were just creating whatever you wanted and throwing it out there, okay? Okay, so moving on, we're going to be looking at having money to invest. Now, whether you like to hear this or not, I think in terms of building something quicker and something more successfully, you need to have some money to invest. Now, I spoke about starting from nothing. I spoke about how I started from literally nothing, and I wrote my own book, which took literally months to do. But the thing is, if I had to start again, knowing how long that would take, and knowing how much stress it would put me under, and all those sort of things that go with having no money to invest into something that you want to pursue, then I just wouldn't start again. I would just wait until I had money to invest into it, okay? Because I promise you, it makes life so much easier when it comes to publishing or doing anything online. If you have some money to invest, then you're going to be quite a way ahead in front of a lot of people, okay? So if I was starting out, how much money would I invest into the business? Now, we're going to look at things in a minute like ads, so we're going to just leave those costs aside for now. But in terms of investing money into like book covers and book interiors, if I was starting again, I would be creating the book covers myself in Canva, so that would be free of cost, obviously. But if I was doing things that way, then I'd need some money to outsource some of the work as well, okay? So honestly, if I had to get started again, if I had a little bit of money, I'd be looking around $200, which is nothing. I know it is a lot for some people, but in terms of a business, $200 is absolutely nothing. Now, in terms of what I am doing going forward in 2022, I'll be looking at spending possibly around $1,000. And what I'm going to be doing is lumping that money pretty much into my coloring book pursuits for 2022. Again, $1,000 isn't much when it comes to sort of the grand scheme of things, but that's the money that I'm going to be putting in. And you know, for that type of money, you should be able to create something pretty good. But of course, with any money that you have, be it $200 or $1,000 or even more than that, you need to be smart with what you're doing with it. And of course, you need to have belief in the project that you're going with. Okay, so on the subject of money, let's talk about ads very quickly. Now, I do believe that ads are going to be very, very important. I know that some people do make great money organically, but this is just the way that I want to pursue things. I want to have the ads running alongside every single book that I upload now. And I think you're aware that if you're running ads, then we don't really use them to sort of directly make a profit from those ads. We use them to bump our books up the ranking and hopefully increase our organic sales from that. We've spoken about that quite a lot before. Now, if I was starting over, then I'd only be looking at spending $20 to $30 per month on ads, okay? Because I don't believe in just lumping money into things straight away. I believe in starting small and just growing from there. As for what I'm going to be doing and what I have been doing, I'll be looking at spending around $200 to $300 per month on ads. Again, that's not actually that much money. And I think anyone that's involved in ads or is pursuing ads knows that we don't necessarily, in order for ads to be successful, we don't necessarily have to make a direct profit from them. We kind of use them to boost our book ranking up on Amazon so that people can find us organically on the first pages of Amazon and then make sales that way as well. So that's the importance of ads for me going forward. And if we can keep that ACoS lower, then that's even better. And I've been using tools like Helium 10 to help me do that as well, which again is an additional investment. But I believe my ACoS for the US store this month is hovering around 20%, which is actually really quite good. Okay, so what type of higher content books will I be looking at pursuing? So for 2022 and hopefully for the rest of that year, I'm going to be looking at putting my money into activity books and coloring books. And the reason why I do this is because I want to pursue something that actually takes some money to get started, and it's something that isn't going to be typically accessible by all these sort of low content people that are flooding toward low content books. Okay, these are books that are going to be harder to make, they're going to take longer to make, but still have lots of potential to make money. And the other reason that I like the idea of pursuing these type of books is because there is just almost an infinite amount of direction that you can take with them. You can target all kinds of different things. Like with your activity books or coloring books, you can target kids, teens, adults, girls, boys, different age ranges. And then of course you have the different subject within that. So unicorns, animals, vehicles, more complex drawings, more simplistic drawings. There's just so much that you can pursue. And I just think it's really good. And on top of that, you can kind of, when it comes to coloring books and activity books, you can kind of much more easily create a kind of brand around, just like Jade Summer does with their books. So what I'm going to be doing in terms of my higher content books, like coloring books and things like that, I mean, I guess these are still considered low content books, but they are higher in content than your typical low content book. I'm going to be pursuing maybe 20 of these books over the course of this year. So 2022, I'm going to be pursuing around 20 of these books. If I was starting again, I would still want to get into this market. So coloring books and activity books, I'd still want to do it. But I think I'd look at just creating, maybe 5 books over the course of the year, so dependent on what money I have to invest in this project. And of course, I'll be outsourcing all of my interiors and covers from places like Upwork and Fiverr. So yes, that's what I'm going to be pursuing for 2022, is those type of books in a variety of different niches. Okay, so moving on, using software in order to save time and give confidence in my publishing pursuits. Now, if I was starting again, I would not be using paid software. I highly doubt. If I was going to use any sort of paid software, I'd maybe look at something like BookBolt, which is typically much cheaper than anything else out there. And it can help you get started creating low content books and finding niches. On top of that, I would be using something like Canva, which is free or very cheap to use if you use the Pro service. But if you're going to be serious about publishing in the long term, and this is what I'm doing, what I've been doing in 2021 and what I'll be using in 2022, is I use Helium 10. It's more expensive than the other options out there, but it's just so good. It helps me with niche research and my ad campaigns. I highly recommend it. I know it's a touchy subject talking about paid software. You don't need any paid software. You don't need anything really to get started with publishing, but it's one of those things that can of course massively help you. I'll leave a link to Helium 10 in the description below if you want to check that out. But basically, if I was just starting again in 2022, I'd use something like BookBolt to give me some direction. But what I'm going to be doing in 2022 is using Helium 10. But again, you don't need anything, but you do need to decide which tools and which software will actually help you with your publishing business, okay? And actually, I do have a video of me using some of the Helium 10 features, which I'll link in the description as well. Okay, so that moves us on to outsourcing most of the work. So when it comes to, in terms of what I'm going to be doing in 2022 and what I would do if I started again, I'm going to outsource almost everything when it comes to publishing. I've got the money saved up that I've made from publishing to now reinvest back into this, so that hopefully I don't have to do as much work other than setting up the listings. So I'll be outsourcing my covers and my interiors from places like Upwork and Fiverr. Now, if I was starting again, And this is quite important to understand here, is that I've now gained kind of relationships with freelancers where I have ongoing sort of work for these people. I know the people that I'm going to be outsourcing from. So I got someone that I know is going to be making my interiors for my kids' books. I've got someone that I know is going to be making the interiors for my books that are geared toward adults. And I also have someone that creates covers for me as well. So I know the people that I'm going to be outsourcing from. Okay, so that's a big difference between what I'm going to be doing and what I would be doing. So what I would be doing if I started again, I didn't have the people that I found over the course of the last year or so, is I would put out a lot of job offerings for the books that I wanted onto Upwork. First and foremost, get onto Upwork, look for freelancers and look for people that you can build like a kind of long-term working relationship with. Okay, like this is really, really important. And I think if you're going to outsource stuff for your business, then you need to make sure that you have a good relationship with people that you hire. Okay, you need to not be too stingy with the money that you spend on them either. You need to keep them happy. You need to give them work. And the reality here when it comes to outsourcing stuff is that it's going to take you a while before you can find someone that's right for your projects. Okay, so it took me to find people for my coloring books and my covers and things like that. It's taken me a good like 6 months of searching to find the right people. And when you do find the right people, you need to hold on to them. Okay, make sure you add them on Facebook or WhatsApp and just keep them working, keep giving them ideas about what you're going to be doing in the future. Keep them excited that they're going to be getting paid for their work. Obviously, no one works for free and they need the money. But yeah, if I was starting out, I would just make sure that I got my ideas out there onto Upwork and just had as much communication with as many different freelancers as possible. Get tons of samples from these people. Do your plagiarism checks for all the samples that they send you. Do some test orders. And then just, eventually you'll narrow it down to these few people that you can actually use to work with for your publishing business. Okay, so that's incredibly important. It's very overlooked when it comes to publishing and outsourcing things. Build a good relationship with these guys, spend some time finding them, and yeah, you'll be sorted for a long time when you need work done. Okay, so the next point here is to accept that there's going to be failures. Now, the reality here is that whether I'm starting again or what I'm going to be doing in 2022, the mentality going forward here is going to be the same. That you need to accept that there's going to be failures in your publishing business. That's just the harsh reality of it. Some people are going to have more success for you. You're going to have more success than some other people. But ultimately, every single person is going to have some sort of failure going forward with publishing or anything online. I would go into it with the mindset that not every book is going to make sales. And in fact, only a few of my creations are going to make sales. And the reality here is that no matter who you take advice from, no matter what niche videos you watch or what results you see from other people, the reality here is that there's going to be failures and there's going to be a lot of them as well. And you need to accept that. You need to have that drilled into your head before you even start or going forward into 2022. Or you probably already know that there's going to be failures because you've had so many already. That's just the way that it is. And the thing here for me, like previously I couldn't do this, but going forward in 2022, kind of have like a new mindset, almost having the failures as part of the system now. It's all part of the plan. It's just a part of the business and you just need to accept it, almost ignore it. And yeah, you just need to accept these failures and you need to operate in a way that is almost mechanical, where you kind of just block out the emotional side of things so that these failures don't become anything more than that. And that kind of moves me on to my next point here, which is to ignore those typical groups of these online money-making haters. So I've been publishing for 8 of the last 10 years, and there's always these groups of these people that are overly skeptical, the kind of I know the real truth type of people that need to go through these mental gymnastics to convince themselves that if they have a failure with something, then they're not the problem, that the whole thing is a scam. Those type of people. Okay, like there's a good reason these people exist, and that's because making money online and publishing, things like that, it's been made to look much easier than it actually is. So I understand where these people come from. But in terms of people that are serious and aren't complainers, who are serious about going forward and making money online, you really need to block these people out. You need to ignore their advice. Like these people, they hang around the forums, they hang around YouTube comments. They're absolutely convinced with their perspective on things, and it's extremely negative most of the time. And these are the type of people that think that there's going to be some sort of 3-step formula, or if you use this keyword or this title, then you're going to have loads of success. Or they just try things for 1 month and don't see any results and then assume the whole thing's a scam. And these are the same type of people that upload like 500 coloring books in a month and then throw hissy fits on forums when they don't make any sales. Okay, so these people need to be ignored. You need to block them out. I do tend to err on the side of positivity most of the time. And I found one of the best things that I've ever done, especially with anything that I've done that I've had success with, especially publishing, is to just not have any kind of communication with people that have that negativity around them. I know it sounds a bit hippie-ish, but it's true. Like, these people just bring you down. They change your views and your thoughts because they're so convinced themselves, and it just doesn't benefit you whatsoever. I'm here to tell you that you can make money with publishing. You can make money online. You can build a business. But of course, I'm not here to tell you that it is going to be easy. And also, you get these people that kind of say things like, oh, you know, these people on YouTube, they're only making sales because they had books in 2018 that when it was less competitive, or these guys are running thousands and thousands of dollars of ads just to make 1,000 back. So you need to have all this money to invest. You need crazy money to invest in order to make this work. And that's what they're not telling you. And while I'm sure there are some people that are operating like that, I'm here to tell you that is not true whatsoever. And it is not a necessity when it comes to earning money in 2021 and 2022 and beyond. Okay, so for some perspective here, and this is for the sake of motivational purposes and to debunk these people that say things like that. November, I know it's Q4, obviously sales are higher, but this November and this December have been my best 2 months ever out of all the years of publishing. Out of all the Q4s in publishing, these 2 months have been the best ever. Now, these books that I created that made most of these sales have been created in the last 6 months. And the ad spend for these books has been around $200 per month, maybe $250 per month. Okay, so that's not thousands of dollars. It's not books that I made back in 2018. These are new books in, you know, niches that you wouldn't say are hidden or anything like that. These are pretty standard niches like unicorn coloring books for girls, those type of niches. And like I said earlier in this video, I am an average person. I don't have any set of design skills. I don't really have any unique information or knowledge on anything. I have a tiny bit of money that I'm willing to put into publishing. And if I can have this type of success, then I strongly believe that you can as well. But yeah, the point of this section was to just avoid negative people that come across as experts when they have tried publishing for a few months and not had any success with it. They don't know what they're talking about. Ignore them. You do your thing. Take advice from who you think it makes sense to take advice from, and I'm sure you'll have much more success. Okay, so rant over. Moving on to the next point, which was to make sure that I keep a hold of my publishing account to the best of my ability. And so for that, we need to be doing things like making sure that we're doing our trademark checks is one of the most important things. Okay, so for trademark checks, you can come across to somewhere like uspto.gov trademark search and do your trademark searches there. Every time you upload a book, just to be safe, check all the trademarks, check everything that you use, because you never know what has been trademarked. And just proceed with caution with your publishing business. Okay, I know there's a lot of fear mongering out there when it comes to having your account terminated for doing one thing wrong. I've never known an account to get terminated just instantly because you've put in like a wrong keyword or you used like a misleading term or something like that. I've never known that to happen, but you do need to be very careful with these things. Okay, so do your trademark checks. Make sure that you're not uploading the same interior with duplicate content. Make sure that you're not doing that typical spammy low content thing where people just upload different covers for the same book. Don't do that, obviously. And also, I know nobody really ever does this for whatever reason, but you should always come across to the actual publishing website and check out Amazon's content guidelines and go through that, and also check out their guide to Kindle content quality as well. So you can just Google something like content guidelines KDP and it's going to link you to here. Go through these. If you're serious about publishing, you're going to go through this. Highly recommend that you do it just to be safe. Okay, so other than that, I'm going to be looking at taking my publishing business to different areas online. So looking at things like audiobooks and uploading some books onto Ingram Spark. I can't talk about either of these too much because I got very limited experience with them, but that's what I'm going to be doing going forward into 2022 and beyond, is to try to diversify my publishing catalog. But that's what I'm going to be doing going forward into 2022, is to kind of occupy more online real estate with my books. Okay, that's it for this video. That's what I would do if I had to start again and what I'd be doing in 2022 and beyond. So I understand those two things are kind of the same. The big factor, the difference here is the amount of money that I would put into things if I was starting again. But that's what I would do regardless. And I'm sorry this video has been so long. Congratulations if you've managed to stick it around to the end here. I just strongly believe that there is so much more to talk about when it comes to publishing, and hence why the videos are so long. But thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video very soon.